Hello and welcome. This is View from the Top. I am Modili Sharafai, so thank you for joining us. The symbiotic relationship between democracy and good governance is globally acclaimed. It is believed that democracy premised on the principle of the rule of law and constitutionalism is capable of ushering in good governance and societal development. Some of the criteria used in assessing good governance are security, respect for human rights, economic stability, rule of law, free and fair elections, accountability and transparency in government, corruption and poverty levels, infrastructure, health and education. If the headlines are anything to go by, Nigeria faces a series of challenges of diminished economic development, high poverty and unemployment rates, infrastructure decay, reduced social cohesion, endemic corruption and high state of insecurity, all of which undermine political stability. Experts say that beneath these multiple developmental problems is a fundamental crisis of leadership and good governance, and that a continuous decline in the quality of governance in Nigeria calls for building political leadership based on competence, commitment, and patriotism. Linus Okorie describes himself as a man on a mission to recreate and build outstanding leaders who will make a difference in this country and take Nigeria to its rightful place in the Committee of Nations. He kindly joins me on View from the Top today, and I am delighted. Thank you for joining us on View from the Top.
Thank you very much.
And here is a brief biography of my guest before our conversation. Born on 30th April 1974, Linus Okorie studied History and International Relations at the Imo State University, Owerri, where he was also the first elected Students' Union president. He got his master's in organizational leadership from the Regents University in the United States and was conferred with the honorary doctorate degree in management by the Commonwealth University of Belize. He is a fellow of the African Business School Abuja and a member of faculty at the Pan-African University and an associate member of International Third World Leadership Association in the Bahamas. An attitude and leadership development consultant, Mr. Okorie is the founder and president of Guardians of the Nation International and is the managing consultant of New Vision Consults. Let me start by asking you, are leaders made or born?
This has been an argument that has been raging for a long time. Every person who is in the service of the earth is born by a woman. So I take that assumption to say that leaders are made. Made in the sense that the moment an individual is born, that individual through the process of growth begins to define himself or herself in the context of self-discovery. Self-discovery in terms of talent, giftings. God just gave us talents and giftings. And it's our responsibilities as individuals to be able to find which area of life our talents will showcase us and make us, leaders specifically. The moment that individual discovers himself or herself over a period of time, now the individual begins to develop the attitude dimension of his or her leadership skills.
So what are the skills needed to be a good leader?
First thing first is a sense of vision. Every leader who has made a difference in the world today started with a huge sense of vision. They don't see the immediate failures, obstacles. They see the future. They look into the future and they see things that ordinary people cannot see. Leaders can see those things. Compassion. Every leader who wants to make a difference must be driven by a huge burden of compassion that can drive that leader to, make a difference. The next thing is what I call sacrifice. Because leadership is about looking beyond self. That's a very big leadership quality that is needed. And then the integrity is, a given. And there are so many other attributes of leadership, but I think these things are key.
What do you reckon is the leadership skill that is most lacking in Nigeria?
I can tell you that at the moment, the deficit of integrity is the most needed skill, absolutely. Once it's lacking within the system, there will be total lack of trust. The followers cannot trust their leaders. And once there's a breach of trust, whether it's in the family or in a political setting, what you have is that inability of the leader to maximize the potentials of the people to be able to drive a common goal, to be able to reach a certain objective.
So what would you say the lack of leadership has cost Nigeria?
Oh my God, absolutely shame, pain, and disgrace. If I follow down history even from independence specifically, you realize that the main people that gave us independence, didn't provide leadership at a national level. What we had was, a sense of, leadership that was, given, but mostly on the tribal and regional levels, at that point in time. So there was no big vision about Nigeria. There was no sense of contribution in terms of this is the ideology that can drive a nation, a sense of patriotism, because, if we would have had that from independence, you know what I mean, where we set the goal to say we are one nation and every young person growing up must have a love for nation, a love for country first, that ideology that if it was driven with passion and great commitment, then you would have seen a set of young people growing up thinking about their nation first rather than themselves or any other part of the country.
Now, what role did colonialism play in this?
The truth of the matter is that I am of the school of thoughts that when the British came to our nation, what they did was for gain, for self-gain and all of that. But at the end of the day, guess what? The British had left our country a long time ago. And so I am surprised that up to today, people are still referring, that the behaviors of our countrymen and women today is as a result of colonialism. And I begin to ask myself that, freedom is responsibility. The greatest, freedom you can ever imagine is the one that we got as a nation. And when we got it as a nation, it's our responsibility as a nation or the leaders of our nation to be able to say, you know what, we want to drive a nation that works. Just like the gentleman Lincoln Yu did for Singapore. He thought about a big future where every young person will be groomed to think and behave like leaders. And so by the time he created that system, he also set up the kind of attitude that every citizen will imbibe: excellence, vision, commitment to the common good and all of that. Not self-promotion, not self-aggrandizement, not all kinds of things that, that has promoted misconception of leadership. That every young person, most of young people you meet, the picture they see of leadership in their mindset is a leadership that says, once I am appointed or elected the leader, I start lording myself over the people. I start stealing from the people, or I start, commanding people all over the place. That is not leadership. Leadership is not control. Leadership is not commanding people about. Leadership is the ability, as defined as, by Dr. Miles Monroe, as the ability to inspire, motivate, drive a group of people towards a particular direction by inspiration, not intimidation or manipulation. And so if you look at this definition that I've given you right now, if you bring out the word intimidation, manipulation, this has been the foundation of our leadership model for many years, over 5 decades in our country. And every generation comes and imbibes that same kind of model. And that is the reason why you cannot see any change happen. And that is why it is absolutely time, it is high time we started to think about grooming and nurturing a new generation of leaders that will think the common good, that will think passion for service, that will think about how they can contribute their quotas in their little communities and drive their communities towards growth and prosperity. It is only the capacity to lead that can make that happen within our system.
That looks like a good point to take a break. Ask that you please join us again.